Hello and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council's Standing Committees meeting for Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. My name is Kim Clark Baskin and I'm your Deputy City Clerk. With us today, we have our sign language interpreter, Logan Showalter. The following is a list of legislation up for preliminary approval by Pittsburgh City Council. Finance and Law Committee, Reverend Burgess is the chair. We have bill number 1993. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the chief equity officer to enter into a professional services agreement and or contract between the City of Pittsburgh and Coro Pittsburgh for the purpose of obtaining a public ally to work on the 2020 census projects and outreach in an amount not to exceed $15,000, subject to appropriation. Public Safety Services Committee, Mr. Lavelle is the chair. We have bill number 1997. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Safety on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into a special activities agreement with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for purposes of holding the Junior Great Race and the Richard S. Caligiuri City of Pittsburgh Great Race in the area of Point State Park. Bill number 1998. Resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Sabre Equipment in the amount of $7,285 for the furnish and install of equipment for Fire Bureau apparatus, Utility 4, for the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Fire. Bill number 1999, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Three Rivers Fire Equipment in an amount of $13,569 for Paratech lift bags and accessories for the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Fire. Bill number 2012. Resolution amending Resolution number 515 of 2019, entitled Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of public safety to enter on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh into a 2-year professional services agreement with one option to renew the Center That Cares for the purpose of implementation of the Pittsburgh Group Violence Intervention Street Outreach Program, so as to increase the funding by $100,000 per year. This bill is sponsored by Reverend Burgess and Mr. Lavelle. Bill number 2013, resolution transferring group violence intervention funding with the Department of Public Safety in an amount of $100,000 from the Bureau of Police to the Bureau of Administration. This bill is sponsored by Reverend Burgess and Mr. Lavelle. Public Works Committee, Mrs. Kell Smith is the chair. We have a deferred paper. Bill number 1964. Resolution granting unto Michael Johnson, his successors and assigns, the privilege and license to construct, maintain, and use at his own cost and expense 2 exterior steel trellis structures at the Pusides Garden Restaurant at 5317 Butler Street in the 10th Ward, 7th Council District of the city. We have a new paper, Bill number 2002, resolution vacating a portion of Gallatin Street in the 10th Ward in the 7th Council District of the City of Pittsburgh. Bill number 2003, Resolution authorizing the mayor and the city of Pittsburgh and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the PA Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Transportation Fund Program, should the grant be awarded by DCED, to provide funding for the Riverview Park, Davis Avenue Bridge Project. This resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $2,576,476 for this stated purpose. Bill number 2004. Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the PA Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Transportation Fund Program, should the grant be awarded by DCED, to provide funding for the Chartiers Avenue project. This resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $2,009,891 for this stated purpose. Bill number 2005. Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the PA Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Transportation Fund Program, should the grant be awarded by DCED, to provide funding for the Beachview Broadway Plaza. This resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $1,098,392.84 for this stated purpose. Bill number 2006. Resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the PA Department of Community and Economic Development Multimodal Transportation Fund Program, should the grant be awarded by DCED, to provide funding for the Allegheny Center North Avenue Improvement Project. This resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $3,329,034.68 for this stated purpose. Land Use and Economic Development Committee, Ms. Gross is the chair. We have a deferred paper, Bill number 1948. Ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances at Title VI, Conduct, Article 1, Regulated Rights and Actions, Chapter 620, Graffiti, by amending the existing language of Sections 620.06 to replace the Bureau of Building Inspection with the Department of Permits, Licensing, and Inspections, to allow the Bureau of Police to prepare and send notices, and to clarify the process for removing publicly visible graffiti located on private property. We have new papers, Bill number 1995. Ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title IX, Zoning, Chapter 915, Environmental Performance Standards, subsection 915.06, Sustainable Development for Publicly Financed Buildings. Bill number 1996, Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into an agreement with agencies to provide emergency shelter services, street outreach services, rental assistance, and housing relocation and stabilization services. Cost not to exceed $1,180,626. Urban Recreation Committee, Mr. Coghill is the chair. We have Bill number 1994. Resolution naming the basketball court located at 555 Larmer Avenue as Costa Court. Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, Mr. O'Connor is the chair. We have a deferred paper, Bill number 1956. Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 2554 Smallman Street. Bill number 1957. Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 23rd and Railroad, 23rd Street and Railroad Street. Bill number 2000, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for Light of Life Ministries, Inc. at 234 Whiteley Street at the recently subdivided parcel. And Bill number 2001, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority in order to design, construct, and maintain a green stormwater infrastructure project, Woods Run Stream Removal, Phase 1 project upon the city's property in Riverview Park. That concludes the reading of the legislation today. Thank you and have a great day.
Good morning and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council Standing Committee meeting of Wednesday, September 11, 2019. Our first order of business is public comment. Members of the public are asked and solicited for their comments. Please remember that you start off with your name and either address or location where you're from. The green light means the beginning of 3 minutes. The yellow light means 1 minute to summarize. The red light means your time has expired. Please relinquish the podium. I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comment is limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which or may be before council. Profanity will not be permitted and order will be maintained at all times. First speaker, please.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. Now, yesterday, Mark Brentley was here, and when Mark was explaining the problems he's having with this city and some of the things that they've done. Now, I was trying to explain about what I know. I started a newsletter. This is written 1999, October the 13th, and it was written about what I know about Mark Brentley. I also had what I knew about Ron Suber. I have a letter here that I wrote to President Clinton, because I was in Carlow College at that time, and he had a forum, and I spoke at the forum. After I spoke to the forum, I wrote to President Clinton and was telling him about the Pittsburgh Public Schools and the things that they were doing, how they were discriminated against the black. But I want you to understand, Mark has been suffering and has been discriminated against, because I know at least 2 times he got fired on the radio. They say, what are you going to do? He's fired. And they had to straighten it out. But let me read what I wrote, what I know about Mark Brentley. Because I am an advocate for children, youth, and families, I have been well aware of what Mark Brentley was attempting to do in the poor neighborhood, namely to help to educate. Come on, Mr. Whoever's talking, please. I can't hardly see, and then you're interrupting me. I forgot my glasses. Okay, the fight for equity in the Pittsburgh public school system. He has children that attend the schools in his district. It was because of Mr. Brentley we learned that a judge can be in for office for 10 years, and then we can take and we vote whether he can continue. See, we thought that the judges would be forever. No, we can vote them out. Okay, so then I said, I also knew that Mr. Brentley has been for years active in the community. He started a voter registration, and they said that he had falsely filled it out. I explained, oh, look at Mr. Burgess, and that's the Reverend. You know what, God's gonna strike you, and so you ain't gonna be able to talk at all. Not while I'm talking 3 minutes. I keep telling you that. See, you just don't realize that citizens, I got 3 minutes, and he's ignorant, and I'm saying ignorant. And he's a Reverend. They all get to talking, every one of you, while we're talking, and that's, to me, that's disgusting. You give me 3 minutes, and then you won't listen. I just saw Father John. He's a priest over here at the jail. And I was talking to him. He said to me, be gentle with them, because they don't know what they don't know. And you don't know what you don't want, and you won't listen, especially this Reverend. See, it bothers me, because he's supposed to teach us how to get closer to God, and he's acting like the devil himself. I done told him he's going to come down. Do you understand? I'm fighting for black people's lives, because we get killed before yins do. You understand that, don't you? Please understand that. I'm fighting for our lives, and you should listen as a Reverend.
Thank you very much.
God's
Next
going to
speaker,
strike you,
please.
and you're going to be able not be able to talk one day.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. With that, we will go into the roll call. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Coghill.
Here.
Ms. Gross. Mrs. Harris.
Here.
President Kraus.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle. Mr. O'Connor. Mrs. Kell Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Strasburger.
Here.
Reverend Burgess.
Here.
7 members present.
All right, we'll go in order. Finance and Law Committee, I am the chair. We have supplemental paper.
Bill 2037, resolution further amending and supplementing Resolution Number 855, adopting and approving the 2012 capital budget, the 2012-2017 capital improvement program by decreasing Fairhaven Greenway Task Force by $25,740 and adding Land Force in the same amount, $25,740, and to further clear completed projects.
Read the next one to its companion bill.
Bill 2038, resolution further amending Resolution Number 719, providing for agreement and/or contracts for the purchase of materials, supplies, equipment, and/or services for various projects in connection with the Neighborhood Needs Program in Council District 4, and providing for payment of the cost thereof in order to enter into contract with Land Force in the amount of $25,740 for work performed for the Fairhaven Greenway Task Force.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Is there any conversation? No conversation. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, there's a nay. Clerk, you can read all the bills that have executive sessions. You can read them all together.
Point
Does
of order.
Yes.
There was one Rule 8 yesterday that was not an executive session. I can't remember the number of the bill.
There's a new bill that's at the very end of this.
Okay, can you hold on that one?
That one is not going, I didn't include that in the conversation.
Okay, thanks.
So for bills from 1937 to 1946, you can read all of them together, please.
Bill 1937, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Apollonia Engineering Division of Ground Technology, Inc., in the amount of $11,141.41 for professional services regarding landslide matters. Bill number 1938, resolution amending Resolution 253, authorizing the mayor and the city solicitor to enter into a professional services agreement with Fox Rothschild LLP for professional consulting and legal services in relation to false claim at litigation by increasing the total cost from $110,000 to $235,000. Bill number 1939, resolution amending Resolution 663, authorizing the mayor and the city solicitor to enter into a professional services agreement with McGrail and Associates for professional consulting services in connection with billboard tax litigation by increasing the total cost from $60,000 to $90,000. Bill number 1940, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor in the amount of $8,622.50 to Kittleson LLC for professional services in relation to a lawsuit filed in the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas. Bill number 1941, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Cohen and Grisby in an amount not to exceed $4,687.50 for professional services in connection with an employment matter.
Bill number 1942, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in the amount of $5,974.10 to Dickey, McCamey, and Kilcoat for professional legal services in relation to police matters. Bill number 1943, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in the amount of $22,000 to Robert A. Creo for arbitration services rendered in connection with Act 111 interest arbitration. Bill number 1944, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Farrell and Reisinger in an amount not to exceed $18,241 for professional legal services regarding a police matter. Bill number 1945, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in the total sum of $6,752.32 to Thomas and Haffer for professional legal services in connection with a police matter. Bill number 1946, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Spillman, Thomas, and Battle in an amount not to exceed $3,494.65 for professional legal services regarding a police matter.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Need conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Takes us to a new big paper.
Bill 1993, resolution authorizing the mayor and the chief equity officer to enter into a professional services agreement and/or contract between the city and Caro, Pittsburgh, for the purpose of obtaining a public alley to work on Census 2020 projects and outreach in an amount not to exceed $15,000, subject to appropriation.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. Please come forward. You have to come and you have to identify yourself. Have a seat. That's okay. You're good.
Well,
My name is Faishala Akintola, and I'm the Special Initiatives Manager for Mayor William Peduto. So there was a change that we were told about yesterday in that the National Service did say that public allies are no longer allowed to work on census activity. So we do plan to keep the public ally to kind of help support the work of special initiatives and critical managers as well.
I have a copy.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I do have.
Go ahead before. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you're asking us to do.
Need to amend.
No.
We need to voice amend.
If I can help.
No, please. Yes, please.
Their administration has entered into an agreement with Coro to receive a public ally. That public ally was originally going to work on the census. The federal government has notified Coro that they cannot work on census. They are going to keep the public ally. They're going to switch their duties to do diversity and equity activities.
So we just need to delete the word Census 2020.
Yeah, I have the floor. So we need to correct the language then before we approve the allocation. So are we going to do that via verbal amendment here today, or are we going to hold a week and do it, or?
We can do any of the above.
I don't mind approving it today, but we clearly need to correct the language.
Yes, you can just have them to work on projects in the amount. You can go easy and just say, Pittsburgh and Core of Pittsburgh for the purpose of attaining a public ally to work on and take out Census 22 projects, take out and outreach, take all that out. So it goes from the purpose of attaining a public ally to work on projects in an amount not to exceed $15,000, subject to appropriation.
So other members wish to speak, so before we make a motion to amend, I think other members should weigh in, and then we'll make the motion to amend.
That sound right?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
President. Ms. Gross?
Mr. Chair, did you check the text file to see if there's additional language there that needs to
I have
be?
not checked the text file.
Correct. So the language is throughout the text file as well.
Yeah, we do. Madam Clerk, in order to change, tell me the process. If we change it here, would be changed here automatically too, right? Yes. Right, because this reflects this.
Yes.
Right, so when we correct this, you'll correct this.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gross, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I do think it's just in
the same
that
language.
first sentence. It's slightly different language, but that first sentence, it should suffice. I don't see the census stated anywhere else in it.
No, it'll change.
Question, thank you. I'm
That's
just
good.
asking the clerk
I
to
heard
work.
it.
All right, other concern. Ms. Harris?
Yes. Are you saying no public or just a choral?
So Public Ally is a part of Coral Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yes, so we will have a Public Ally. We want to retain a Public Ally.
Okay.
Any other conversation? If no conversation, now I'll accept a verbal amendment to strike the words census 2020
And outreach.
and outreach. Need such a motion.
Yep, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It has now been amended. That takes us back to the original bill. There's been conversation. Any more conversation? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much for coming to the table. It's good to see you as always. All right, we're at the invoices. There are invoices on the table. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second. Any conversation about the invoices? No conversation about the invoices. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. There are no interdepartmental transfers. There are P cards, which are also on the table. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
I need a second. Any conversation about the P cards? Seeing no conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. All right, that takes us to Public Safety Services Committee. Mr. Lavelle is the chair. We do have a deferred paper. The first paper, the administration has told us they no longer need this bill, so what it is read, I'm going to ask for a motion to table.
97?
Bill 1997, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Safety on behalf of the city to enter into a special activities agreement with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for purposes of holding the Junior Great Race and the Richard S. Caligari City of Pittsburgh Great Race in the area of Point State Park.
Need a motion?
Motion to table.
Need a second? Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coghill. Mrs. Gross. Aye. Mr. Lavelle. Aye. Mr. O'Connor. Aye. Mr. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
President Kraus.
Aye.
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
8 members, yes.
Thank you very much. That takes us to the next committee, which is the, next bill, please.
Bill 1998, resolution providing for the issuing of a warrant in favor of Sabre Equipment in the amount of $7,285 for the furnish and install of equipment for Fire Bureau apparatus for the Department of Public Safety Bureau of Fire.
Need a motion? Mr. Lavelle.
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Is there going to be conversation? Yes, no? No conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1999, resolution providing for the issuing of a warrant in favor of Three Rivers Fire Equipment in the amount of $13,569 for Paratech lift bags and accessories for the Department of Public Safety Bureau of Fire.
Need a motion, Mr. Lavelle.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Need a conversation? No conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. You can read the next two bills together, I think.
Bill 2012, resolution amending resolution number 515, authorizing the mayor and the director of public safety to enter on behalf of the city into a 2-year professional services agreement with one option to renew with the Center That Cares for the purpose of implementation of the Pittsburgh Group Violence Intervention Street Outreach Program so as to increase the funding by $100,000 per year. Bill number 2013, resolution transferring group violence intervention funding within the Department of Public Safety in the amount of $100,000 from the Bureau of Police to the Bureau of Administration.
Need a motion, Mr. Lavelle.
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
There are amendments on the table, Mr. Lavelle.
Yes, just for clarity, we're actually not increasing the budget. We already did the budget. However, when OMB accepted the money in the budget, they actually separated it into, some went to public safety, some went to the police department. We actually needed all to be in public safety in order for them to enter into the contract. When public safety went to do the contract, they were showing that they were missing $100,000 of the allocated dollars. So we're moving the dollars back from police over into public safety.
Gotcha. So it's really a technical amendment.
Yep.
All right, so there are 2 amendments on the table. I need a motion to amend.
So moved.
Need a second? Any other conversation on amendments? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your diligence, Mr. Lavelle. We takes us back to original bills. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. It takes us to Public Works Committee. Ms. Kell Smith is the chair. We have a deferred paper.
Bill 1910, resolution vacating a portion of the right-of-way at South Negley Avenue at Ava Street in the 8th Ward, 9th Council District.
Read the next one, too.
Bill 1911, resolution vacating a portion of the right-of-way at Penn Avenue and South Euclid Avenue in the 8th Ward, 9th Council District.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second. There was a public hearing yesterday. There was no one who appeared on this is part of the Whole Foods project and has my support. Ms. Harris.
Yes, was this one that the community had put together asking for the public hearing, or was this just our public hearing?
Just our public hearing. They had a public hearing, but they have decided to take their concern not to council but to Orphans Court. So the community will now go to Orphans Court to have that conversation, not with us.
Okay, because so nobody was informed that we had that hearing yesterday?
Yes, they were informed they had the hearing. They knew we
Who,
had this
who
hearing.
was informed?
We have the way we do public hearings. And they knew, they watched this process. They knew we had the public hearing yesterday.
I'm going to abstain until I talk.
That's fine. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Abstentions? One abstention. Thank you very much. That now takes us to the next bill, please.
Bill 1964, resolution granting unto Michael Johnson and his successors and assigns a privilege and license to construct and maintain and use at his own cost and expense two exterior steel trellis structured at the Pursuiti's Garden Restaurant in the 10th Ward, South 7th Council District.
Need a motion. Need a second. All right, any conversation? Ms. Gross, we held this because of your absence last week.
Thank you so much. I'm fully supportive. It's a fabulous restaurant.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We have a new paper.
I'd like to register an aye vote for the votes I missed wrong.
So noted.
Thank you.
Bill 2002, resolution vacating a portion of Gatlin Street in the 10th Ward, 7th Council District.
Need a motion.
I get a motion, Councilwoman, if you don't mind, I get a motion to hold
Motion.
this one, if you don't mind.
Ms.
Do you want me
Gail
to
Smith,
discuss?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve discussion? Or second?
Second, motion to approve. Ms. Gail Smith has the table. I think she's deferring to Councilwoman Gross. Yes.
Yes.
Are you sorry, Teresa?
Yeah.
Do you mind? So, Councilwoman, we tried to get in touch with the owners in contiguous. We did talk to the permitting office about this, so we're just trying to get more information. I generally am not supportive of street vacations, as most of you know, and so I'm trying to get more information. Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to hold.
Motion to hold for 1 week.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 2003,
Next two bills, clearly.
resolution authorizing the mayor and the
Four
city,
bills.
the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the Pennsylvania Department Community and
Yeah.
Economic Development Multi-Module Transportation Fund Program. Should the grant be awarded by DCED to provide funding for the Riverview Park, Davis Avenue Bridge project, the grant proposal includes an ask of $1,803,533.20 with local match $772,942 included in the 2020 City of Pittsburgh's capital budget. In the event the grant is awarded, this resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $2,576,476. Bill number 2004, resolution authorizing the mayor and Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the DCED and the MTF Fund Program should the grant be awarded by DCED to provide funding for the Chartiers Avenue project. The grant proposal includes an ask of $1,400,924 with a local match of $602,967 included in the 2020 City of Pittsburgh's capital budget. In the event the grant is awarded, this resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $2,009,891. Bill number 2005, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the DCED and the MTF should the grant be awarded by DCED to provide funding for the Beachview Broadway Plaza. The grant proposal includes an ask of $768,874.98 with a local match of $79,517.98 from the city 2020 capital budget and a grant from Allegheny County's Community Infrastructure and Tourism Fund of $250,000. In the event the grant is awarded, this resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $1,098,392.84 for the stated purpose. Bill number 2006, resolution authorizing the mayor and the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to enter into an agreement with the DCED MTF. The grant be awarded by DCED to provide funding for the Allegheny Center North Avenue improvement projects. The grant proposals include and ask $2,330,324.27, with a local match of $998,710.40 included in the 2020 city's budget. In the event the grant is awarded, this resolution provides for an agreement and expenditures not to exceed $3,329,034.68 for this stated purpose.
Thank you very much. Need a motion, Ms. Smith?
Motion to approve?
Need a second. Any conversation, Ms. Harris?
Who's here?
I also have conversation.
Yeah, I have questions on two of the bills.
Well, these are,
I know what they are.
let me finish. We have two options. We can move them, and then you can, between now and Tuesday, since these are subject to grant funding, you can have that conversation, or we can hold them. What is the purpose?
I don't want to hold them. These are for multiple districts. If there's one that Mrs. Harris would like to hold for her
There's two
district,
of them.
then I would,
She can talk to them between now and Tuesday.
right.
I think that's right.
I mean, today's the day that we ask questions, so.
And I agree with you. with that.
Why isn't somebody here
So can
to
we hold them
answer
and see if somebody
questions?
comes to the end of the meeting?
You want to call
Or we
someone?
can
Yes,
ask.
please.
We'll ask someone to come for the end of the meeting, but if not, then we're gonna move. But, and somebody should be here.
Both are true.
Yeah,
That
there's only the two that
That takes us to Land Use and Economic Development
Questions.
Committee. Ms. Gross is the chair. We have a supplemental paper.
Bill 2026, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Little Kelpie in the amount of $19,000 for graphic design of the Greater Hazelwood Neighborhood Plan document.
Need a motion, Ms. Gross?
Motion to approve?
Need a second. Any conversation? Seeing no conversation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We have the next bill, please.
Bill 2031, ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code, Title 9, zoning, Article 1, Section 90203, zoning map by changing from EMI, Educational Medical Institution, to UI, in urban industrial property with frontage on James Street, 20th Street, 21st, Mary Edwards Way, and Harkin Way in the Allegheny County Block and Lot System, 17th Ward.
Need a motion to hold for public hearing.
Actually, I think you need a report and recommendation from
Yeah.
Planning
Yes,
Commission
please.
first, so
Yep.
motion to
Okay,
send to
sorry.
planning for report and
read-
recommendation?
Misread it. Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
It'll be held for public hearing once it gets back to us. All right,
For
next
the
bill,
Planning
please.
Commission's public hearing.
Bill 1948, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances at Title 6, Conduct Article 1, Regulated Rights and Actions, Chapter 620, Graffiti, by amending the existing language of Section 62006 to replace the Bureau of Building Inspection with the Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, to allow the Bureau of Police to prepare and send notices, and to clarify the process for removing publicly visible graffiti located on private property.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve?
Need a
Second.
second. Any conversation? No
So,
conversation?
just brief conversation, I just would like to say that we did did call for a post agenda for PL&I, and I did send a date into the clerk's office, and I'd like to get that date confirmed with the council president, because I have a lot of questions regarding PL&I in general.
Any other conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. We have a new paper.
Bill 1995, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title 9, zoning, Chapter 915, environmental performance standards, sustainable development for publicly financed buildings by deleting certain language and adding a new subsection 91508, titled Sustainable Development for City-Owned Facilities.
Need a motion to hold for public hearing.
To hold for Cablecast public hearing.
Need a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1996, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into an agreement with agencies to provide emergency shelter services, street outreach services, rental assistance and housing relocation, and sustainability services or data collection activities as associated with emergency solution grant funds at a cost not to exceed $1,180,000 $80,626.
Motion to approve with discussion.
Need a second?
I just want to say briefly how we all wish this was such a bigger pot of money from the federal government, that these funds seem to get smaller every year, and, in the context of the crisis that we've been talking about at the city council table with leadership from our colleagues here for many years. That's all. Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
So I did have some questions. Please.
So we have someone from planning? Or am I now with these funds? OMB, I mean.
Morning.
Morning, could you please give us your names and titles for the record?
David Hutchinson, Assistant Director, Capital and Asset Management.
Thank you. Councilwoman Smith has the floor.
Thank you.
Good morning, Whitney Finstrom with the Office of Management and Budget.
Good morning. Elizabeth Daniels-Totten, Office of Management and Budget, CDBG Program Supervisor.
So I just like a few questions. Street outreach services, what does that include?
So that is for our pot of funds subcontracted to Family Links, and they are particularly focusing on youth. They go out to street homeless persons. They develop a relationship with people. The main goal is to get people into housing, but they know that a lot of times that
Do
takes...
we get reimbursed at all through the county since they provide
no, these
county
are...
services? These are county services?
Yeah, these are not reimbursed.
So we don't get involved, okay. And then the other question I had is the rental assistance and housing relocation. How was that coordinating with the Housing Opportunity Fund?
The Housing Opportunity Fund is a separate but has a very
I
similar
know what it is, yeah.
sub-program that does a very similar program.
And are you coordinating at all with
We're
one another?
coordinating, yes. I actually have a meeting with someone tomorrow morning or Friday morning to talk about it. But they use a lot of the same subrecipients, and so yes, we are in discussions.
We met with Jessica Smith Perry maybe 6 months ago to discuss how they structure their program, especially with eligibility. We're really trying to make sure that there's, unfortunately with the ESG money, there's you have to be in a pretty bad state to qualify for a lot of the funds. So what they're trying to do is get that tranche of people right before that really bad state to make sure that they don't need to get into the ESG program.
Okay. So, and I'd like to know what that is, what that, and I'll ask Jessica Smith Perry, because I actually sit on that board and I missed the last meeting because I was sick, but I'll find out about that. But I just wanted to know about some of these things. Thank you.
Gross.
Thank you. I didn't know if anyone else wanted, because I would technically be second round.
Well, I'll say something, but after you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So I just wanted to be sure that we had to say thank you, because it was the mayor's office, and these funds would kind of be covering the administration's direct expenditures, right?
The administrations of the
Are-
subrecipients?
Yeah, so is 100% of these funds subbed out then?
Yes,
Okay,
we
so-
don't take any
yeah,
administration.
So I'll just acknowledge then that we have the Opportunity Fund and its subcontractors. We have these federal funds and the subcontractors that we're putting under contract directly from the administration. And then additionally, on top of that, I know that the mayor is using some of his own office staff, because we had someone living in Shulo Park in Bloomfield, and it was so helpful to have help both from the nonprofit sector on their own funds, right? We had Mercy Healthcare out, and we also had people in the mayor's office who did that exact thing. They had a long-standing relationship, were able to talk the person into taking housing and able to find housing. And we have more increasingly across my district. There's another park nearby, Balm Grove, where we have the same thing. We have people living in park space. And the goal is to protect both the people who are suffering, but also protect access to public space, because it's not a private residence. So it's a very delicate balance, and it does take a lot of resources. And I'll just say again, we really wish this pot from the federal government was bigger. Thank you.
So second round, Ms. Smith.
So I'm just curious, is there a certain area that you focus on, or do you just focus all over the city of Pittsburgh? Because that doesn't seem like a lot of money to do the things that you're saying.
Leveraging is a major part of the funding. So besides county funds, there are state ESG funds, as well as some foundation dollars that go into it. But it's true, I mean, the level of funding has declined, unfortunately. But all the dollars that are put in through the ESG are directly for services. There's no admin taken out, so it's really an attempt to try to delve right into solving these problems.
And I think everybody wants to help people that need help. But I think that there's also a concern that there's a lot of problems occurring in particularly we've been hearing a lot about downtown, and we want to get a handle on that so that our downtown is a viable area, but at the same time, there's people that need services, but there are also people that decline services. And I don't know, is there any mechanism in place to address those issues? If somebody doesn't want services, are you working on any part of that?
I mean, I think street outreach, their mandate is to keep offering services for when people are ready to take them.
And so the question, I think, would be if somebody's committing a crime, then you can still call the police, and there's still an avenue there to address that, because, I mean, nobody's allowed to commit a crime whether you're, struggling or not. And I think that's part of what it is, and I think how we respond is important too. But I do think that there's a lot of concern. That's why we came up with the Housing Opportunity Fund, because we don't want to see people homeless.
Right.
We want to see a lot of response and a lot of help. But I think that we have to understand that there is a correlation between our city thriving and getting a handle on some of these issues.
And there is a strong outreach program, an attempt to really connect up with the homeless population in the city to provide services. But yeah, they can't be required necessarily, but they're aggressive efforts.
Yeah.
But I just want to point out last year that over 3,500 persons were assisted with the ESG funding. So it's
3,500.
had quite an impact, given the limited amount.
Do we
of
follow
dollars.
up? Do they stay in housing or help, or do we have any kind of follow through?
Allegheny County Department of Human Services does do some follow-up surveys. It's limited.
Good to hear they do some.
Yeah. They're integrating more of their services, and so they have a data evaluation and research team that's putting surveys out there at the beginning and the end of services, and then I think follow up afterwards.
And I'd like to see us coordinating a little bit, and I'll wrap it up with this, with the domestic violence providers as well, because a lot of times people are homeless because they're escaping a violent situation. So I'd like to make sure we're coordinating all those. Thank you very much for your work.
So I want to use this moment to talk about something philosophical about this issue, though. I have been one of the supporters of the Housing Opportunity Fund. In our form of government, social services is done by the county.
Mm-hmm.
The city does not do social services. The county does social services. I believe the Housing Opportunity Fund is a great vehicle, but somewhat misguided. I think that too much of the money in the Housing Opportunity Fund was put into social services. Those dollars do not multiply. They are given to a particular person, but they do not multiply. They do not last beyond that particular need. We are not primarily in the business of social services. We are not our government. I want to say from publicly, I believe more of the Housing Opportunity Fund should go into brick and mortar, because for two reasons. One, every dollar put in the brick and mortar gets leveraged multiple times. So more dollars in the brick and mortar actually gets leveraged. The social service dollars just get eaten. They don't get multiplied. That's number one. Number two, these monies that will get to social services often do not solve the problem. They are simply a temporary Band-Aid. The person still is in crisis, and then the next 6 months to a year, they go back in the same situation, and we have to put more social service dollars. Where when we build affordable housing, that more affordable housing sustains those families for multiple generations. And so I will talk more about this to the group, and I'm going to say it publicly, is of my opinion that they should seriously think about transferring, as they do their budget, much more of the money into brick and mortar, because that's the need. That's the one place where we can have the most impact, the most opportunity to reduce the housing crisis in our city. And that money can get leveraged. That money that we put in brick and mortar gets leveraged 10 times. And it's much more effective than putting in social services. I do understand the heart of the people who advocated for it, but I just don't think it's the best and highest use of the dollars. And I will talk to them about it. I'll talk to the administration about it. As we go forward, that's my position. So I just want to at least put that on the table. Ms. Smith.
So I'm going to say I do sit on the Housing Opportunity task force. And what I will say is that I don't disagree with some of what you said, but I do disagree with a little bit of it, because I do think that we should be helping people stay in their homes. The people that are paying taxes, we don't necessarily need to build new homes for that. We need to help them sustain their homes that they're in. And I think that these are the people we expect to pay taxes all the time, but yet receive not little in return for their dollars. And so I'd like to see us do that. I do think that I've made it very clear that I have concerns about the rental assistance program, because it's my understanding we weren't even able to vote on that as council people, and that there's some concern there. And I've sent something to the law department, repeatedly asking for an opinion there, and have not yet received it. But I have had some conversations with the administration, and so to me, I agree that we're going a little bit in a direction that maybe is the county's responsibility, and not so much, and not that we should keep turning our, if the county's not going to do it, somebody has to do some things. And I do want to help people that are struggling, but I want to get people to a point where they're not relying on us to help them for the next time and the next time. It's the same issue over and over again. So I don't disagree with some of that, but I do disagree that all of it should be spent on development. I think some of it has to be on sustainability and helping residents stay in their homes.
There's a balance. There's a motion to approve on the table. Any more conversation? Ms. Harris, third round.
Thank you. Okay, how much is the county putting in? I mean, we're putting this in, correct?
HUD funds through the county are about 16 million. I might be underestimating that a little.
Okay, and how much are they putting in, do you know, for the city of Pittsburgh? In all these services?
So
as the Reverend said, the county, this is really their job.
So those HUD funds
but
support all kinds of services, including more permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing. Does that answer your question?
Well, it looks like we're going to be paying for what? The data collection? Because Mercy, when they go around and give the free tents out.
So data collection specifically refers to the management information system that's run by the county, that is required by HUD as a part of receiving these funds, that we are tracking all of the receipt of services by clients.
Are they tracking where these people are coming from?
Yes, they do track their last address, yes.
Okay, so if I asked you to get me that information, you'll get that?
Yes.
Because I think it was last year I had homeless on Howard Street, and I started going around asking people where they were from. They were from New York, Ohio, the suburbs. Only one woman was from Polish Hill. None were even from the north side. And if we're going to keep calling people in from outside the city, then and other states, then we really need more money. The same with undocumented people. And a lot of these people have jobs. They're using an address, I understand, as Watson Street to get their checks, or to use as an address so they can get welfare. With all of these people, including the refugees that they took from Lawrenceville, and they moved them all up into Northview Heights. Nobody even gave services so that both groups, English and the people that came in with different languages, could even talk to each other. That took up room where now it takes a year for people, there's a waiting list, to be able to even get into places like Northview Heights or private areas. And we're talking a lot of times Pittsburgh people. So we're bringing in New York, we're bringing in Ohio, we're bringing in the suburbs. We're saying this is all okay and undocumented. And we don't have the money to do this. And we're really not servicing the people of Pittsburgh in a lot of these cases.
We can get a report from the HMIS system that basically tracks where they came from, race, ethnicity. I think there's a whole breakdown, and also in the point in time survey that takes place every January, they ask questions also about, if they want to provide the answers about their past situation, were they a domestic violence victim or whatever the situation might be. So we can probably
Or if
get
they
that from the
came
county.
off a train from another state. It just
That's a wrap, Harris.
it really bothers me because we're not servicing the people that we should be servicing. And New York should have their own programs, Ohio should, and the suburbs should. That way we could take care of the people from Pittsburgh and would be able to use more of the housing money for what it's really meant to do, is help people to get housing and not make them sit on a list for a year. Okay, but I would like to see the numbers. I'm not asking for names or anything like that. I'd actually like to see it from the areas too, in the city.
By district or?
You could do that by district.
Any other conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. That takes us to
Thank you all for
Urban
listening to us and
Recreation
for your work.
Committee. Mr. Coghill is the chair. I asked that before we go to hold, I want to say a brief word, so if he would do a motion to approve, so I can say something, then we'll come to motion hold. Bill, please.
Bill 1994, resolution naming the basketball court located at 555 Larimer Avenue as Costa Court.
Need a motion, Mr. Coghill.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
You defer for just one moment. So we are certainly, we were there at the affair, and we are supportive of the Costa family and all they've meant to Larmer and what they've meant in service to our city. At the same time, there is also in the community sympathy and sentiment to remember an active basketball player named Moon, who I knew, played for Westinghouse. I knew him growing up, played with him actually back when my legs were good. And so we are also going to find something, the mayor has always promised that we will find something significant to name in his honor, so the family will have a memorial of someone who spent their lifetime playing sports and encouraging other kids and young people to play sports. So we are, in this case, going to do a 2-for-1, right? We're going to not only name this court, but we're going to find a secondary place to also make significance to his contribution. So with that, I need a motion to hold for a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. It takes us to intergovernmental affairs.
Can I just ask real quickly, I think we need to also understand the process of putting a sign up when we're naming some of these courts, because it's my understanding it has to go before the Art Commission. And I mean, I think if a council member is putting a name on, we don't have to go through that process. So if we don't do it, then I'm gonna put something in place.
Okay. There is, wait, before we go to the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee, we have some bills open. Let's go back to them. There are 4 bills open under page 7.
Public Works.
Public Works Committee, Mr. Gilman is here. Let's go back to this. Ms. Smith has the floor. Mr. Gilman, if you would come forward. We have 4 bills about the multimodal transportation stuff. Ms. Smith, in your hands.
So for me, I'm excited about seeing short chairs on here. As I mentioned before, I'd like to have a little bit more communication about some of the projects they're working on in our districts prior to taking it to the community and to the public. Instead of using the public to try to leverage council, I'd like to make sure that we're working together. Other than that, I'm very supportive of this.
Ms. Harris.
Yes. I understand you're here from DOMI since the director is out, and so is the deputy director. Okay, my questions, we'll start on 06.
Did you
What are
introduce
you
yourselves for the
planning
public?
to do?
Can you do that real quickly? I apologize. Could you introduce yourself for the public?
Hi, Amanda Purcell, traffic engineer for the city of Pittsburgh.
Dan Gilman, Chief of Staff for the Mayor. And I don't know what 06 is, if someone can.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer the questions, I just don't have an agenda in front of me.
That's the one around Delgate Center. What do you actually?
So just with all of these bills, and I apologize, I don't know what was said
Grants.
before I came in the room. These are all simply applying for grants. We have not won these grants.
Right.
So any work would be dependent on winning them and then continuing the process. Allegheny Center is the continued dialogue the city's been having with the Northside Leadership Conference, Allegheny City Central, the school, which I apologize, I'm drawing a blank on which school is right there, as well as the Children's Museum, New
Allegheny.
Hazlet. Is that Allegheny? Sorry, I'm confused which one's Allegheny, which one's King. My apologies.
Well, King's are too.
It's on the other side. Right. In Pharos, there have been conversations about whether or not to make it two-way. There's been no final determination on that. From my understanding, as those conversations have continued with engineers, obviously there was the bike infrastructure, pedestrian improvements. So those are all on the table still, but there is no design decided upon as the community meetings have continued.
So if this is approved, it's for design?
This would be for construction of whatever the final design is my understanding. But I will let Amanda answer
Yeah,
more.
for the circle portion, there is already some funding in place. I think we have a budget gap. This grant application here was actually for North Avenue improvements. And that was still continuing the conversation with the community, and some of their requests have been about North Avenue and the safety problems that they have crossing the street and getting back and forth to the park from the community.
Well, the first thing you need to do is what I asked for about 5 years ago: have walk, don't walk signs at Federal Street.
Yep.
Somebody's going to get killed there.
At Federal North?
Federal North.
I can tell you Federal North walk, don't walk signs is in the preliminary capital budget that you will see when you meet. I think we have a meeting scheduled with you to review your district. That's in there.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
But, however, the reason when I look at the federal funds on any of these, I'm wondering why we're not asking for funds for, you can call it the East Street Bridge, the Charles Street Bridge, or the Swindell Bridge. That's one. And for the Marshall Shadeland Bridge.
So
Both of those, just in case you don't know, I'll take you for a walk. You can see straight through down to, and chunks of not asphalt, but concrete are actually falling off. 279 is under the one bridge. Mm-hmm. And somebody's going to end up getting killed. They threw asphalt over some of it, and they put the signs up, so you only use one lane, but that doesn't stay there.
Right.
And it's really a concern because of how large these are coming through the concrete. So I'm wondering why we're not asking for money for dangerous situations such as those two.
I can say in this case, when we decide what to apply for, it's based off conversations of what's applicable and what's likely to be awarded. This is DCD Multimodal, which is a state grant aimed at improvements that improve safety and mobility of multiple modes of transportation. So they're looking for cars, bikes, public transit, pedestrian, largely around safety improvements and spur development. Funding bridge repair and replacement is not something that this particular grant generally funds. So we're trying to do things we think are more likely to win, which is why this one is safety. Davis Avenue is multimodal. Chartiers are largely around pedestrian safety. And what's our fourth?
Students.
And Beachview Broadway Plaza is around both pedestrian safety on Beachview Broadway, matching the funds that are there, and also the development of the business district.
Well, pedestrian safety and vehicles, and in particular even fire trucks, emergency vehicles, just take a walk, and I'll go with you, so you can see 279 underneath, and chunks.
These larger bridges do have a program. Like we put those on the tip because they're larger and they cost more money. And these are smaller grants that don't cover that expenditure.
Well, you can't cover up these holes and just keep leaving the concrete fall down, someone's going to get killed.
Yeah, the structures team does, they do inspections of these bridges at least every 2 years. They get on a cycle where they might be even every 6 months, but they do keep an eye on them. And
I would like to see the inspections that were done on the Swindell Bridge and the Shadeland Avenue, the dates on them, and actually, because, you got to be blind not to be able to see how serious. It's a problem for vehicles, pedestrians, and the vehicles driving underneath it that have no idea what's going on until a piece of concrete falls down and
Like I
kills
say,
somebody.
I'm sure council saw we had the chairman of the House Committee, the Federal House Committee, who oversees infrastructure in town maybe 4 months ago. And when we took him, we talked particularly about landslides, water infrastructure, and bridges. Because to your point, Councilwoman, that's where the federal government needs to step up, and the failure of a federal infrastructure bill has hurt all cities, not just Pittsburgh. The number of bridges we have that are rated, I don't even know what the rate is, it's 0 or near 0, is tremendous because of the lack of the need. And that's why they do go on the tip, which gets 80% federal. Is that correct?
80% federal,
80%
15% state, and then 5% as
Well,
well.
they have no nets underneath either one of those bridges to catch the concrete from killing somebody underneath. And, people, kids walk across those bridges. So I would like you to take note of both of those.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coghill.
Yes. Well, first of all, Amanda, thank you for visiting Beachview with me and, going over some of the tweaks and some things that
I was
we
there
need to
again
do.
this morning.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What did you find out? Anything interesting? Or?
We're scheduling.
Okay, good. Well, that was my question, of course. I know next year you'll be able to do this right from your department. Is that what you told me? Is that right? Okay,
if we
good,
get
good,
enough
yeah.
manpower.
Yeah, rather than relying, because we know, the Public Works is a heavy burden as it is, and to rely on them to come up. Dan, I just want to say thanks for your optimism about Beachview. I think it's well on its way to being the neighborhood that we know it can be. The improvements up there have been great, not without any controversy, of course, but overall, everybody seems to be really, really happy with the improvements, and it's just the first phase, so many more to come. And it's a big part of the end product there, which we're now promoting businesses there and doing some really good things. The only thing I got about 3 or 4 calls on, and I know Councilwoman Harris had mentioned this before, the paint, the striping. I don't find it slippery. I walk across it, but I'm getting a lot of it's slippery.
Yeah, the school crossing guard talked to me about that this morning.
Oh, did she? Yeah. Is there some sort of sand or grit we can? I don't know if there's an answer to that or not. I was just inquiring for the
talk with
residents.
the manufacturer about that.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, so, you have to be careful on any pavement, of course, but, I guess some people are finding it slippery, so that was it. I just wanted to, thank you both for your optimism and, being up, on the forefront of Beachview and the changes that are going on there. Looking forward to the second phase and other things that come there.
I will say, Councilman, one of the reasons we chose Beachview, other than wanting to complete what we all have worked with the community
Because
on.
it's partly in my district.
Yes, that's why. But also, you have a good example where the city put in hundreds of thousands of dollars in our concrete slab work,
Yes.
plus manpower time. Obviously, Senator Fontana delivered millions in state funding. The Port Authority is putting in hundreds of thousands, if not millions, into their station improvements. And when you get that multi-level cooperation, it makes you much more competitive in these grants. So I think it's the testament that everyone came together on it that makes us feel like we have a good chance at winning this.
I'm glad you brought that up because Senator Fontana had a great deal to do with this, of course, with the funding, and I wanted to thank him as well. But you're right; it's been a joint effort. I think people in that town, they see the changes that are happening. They're thrilled about it. They're looking for, and we're now promoting new businesses and people to move in, and some URA properties and some city properties, which I know Mr. Gilman and I talk often about it. That I think our district that we represent up there, Councilwoman Cale Smith, is going to be completely different in 5 years, and it's going to be really a beacon for what can be in some of these neighborhoods that were somewhat forgotten, I guess. But under this administration, they've done a great job, and I thank you for that.
Councilwoman Smith.
I just really also want to acknowledge Senator Fontana. He has been really very helpful southwest of the river. I know he's done it across the city, but really recently, obviously working with your administration, I think anybody who understands the way government works, if the mayor's supportive, then usually our state elected officials that work with the administration advocate for those dollars. And so, the governor and Senator Fontana and the mayor's office working together is really bringing some money to southwest of the river. I'm really happy. But I also want to say that you've also applied for grants for Grandview Avenue, different types of grants, which we know is going to be tens of millions of dollars. But at least you are applying for those grants, and we are on our way in doing some more in that area. So I want to thank you for that as well. But we got a lot of work to do up there. So.
Ms. Gross.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge I'm supportive of these bills, and speaking to the thermoplastic and the crossings, I've had overwhelmingly super enthusiastic responses. I know Chief Gilman has seen them as well. Amanda, I know you've seen them as well, to pedestrian crossings that had been needing improvement for a long time. And so my constituents are ecstatically grateful to see them deployed. So thank you for that, especially throughout the Strip District where we had been lacking markings for so long, and there's just so many more people. And I always just like to acknowledge that 10 years ago there were something like 400 people living in the Strip District, and now there are thousands, and as well as people commuting up and down through closer to the river and up and down through the lower Strip District and upper Strip District. So, but if there are concerns about slippage, we definitely want to hear about that and find out if there is a safety issue that can be addressed. So we'll just stay in the loop on that. But all good reports from District 7, so thank you.
And I will say, thanks to council support and Amanda's leadership and Director Ricks, we now have the thermoplastic machine in-house. So while we still use parking lot paint for some of the work, we also have the machine and the crew to do thermoplastic with city crews in-house for the first time ever. So that's been a huge advantage in being able to get so much of this work done.
So many intersections. It's just been really, people are very happy to see them. Thank you.
Yeah, it was actually a DCED grant that allowed us to purchase that originally, probably 6 years ago that we applied for that.
Wonderful.
Any other conversations?
Yeah, I would just like to say, let that be a lesson for subcontracting across the board.
Right.
To have our own means and for us to be able to say, yeah, we can do that tomorrow is such a big advantage. So I look for other ways in other departments to create our own ways of solving these, whatever the issues might be.
Any other conversations? Seeing no conversation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Thank you very much, Chief, for spending time
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to the Intergovernmental Affairs Committee. Mr. Carter is the chair with supplemental paper.
Bill 2036, resolution amending resolution number 448, authorizing the city to enter into an agreement to execute the Alcosan Service Agreement Amendment by and among Alcosan, PWSA, the West Westmoreland Municipal Authority, the North Huntington Township Municipal Authority, the Township of North Huntington, the Penn Township Sewer Authority, and the Township of Penn regarding the caveats Adara era.
I need a motion, Mr. Carter.
Motion to approve, discussion.
Need a second.
Second.
Any conversation?
This is just, we already approved this bill. This is a technical change from the law department.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. Deferred paper, please.
Bill 1956, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for 2554 Smallman Street.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Any conversation? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 1957, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for 23rd and Railroad, 23rd Street and Railroad Street.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Conversation. Ms. Gross.
I'm just going to say, I'm not going to have the engineer up, but I just wanted to acknowledge, now that these plans have been made public, that this developer has been striving for affordability in this design. And this is something around, I forget where the number of units ended up, somewhere probably over 200 units on the riverfront, right? In Strip District. Not that far from like 21st, right? So just like 2 parcels up from 21st and Smallman, and they are striving for, the last briefing I got was that 10% at 50% AMI. That is where we ended up with the inclusionary mandatory iPod, but on a completely voluntary basis. So I just wanted to give them a special shout out for that, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that they'll be able to achieve that number of affordable units.
Thank you Very much. Any other conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 2000, resolution adopting plan revisions to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewer facilities plan for a Light of Life ministry.
Need a motion?
Motion to hold 1 week.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 2001, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Works on behalf of the city to enter into an agreement with PWSA in order to design, construct, and maintain a green stormwater infrastructure project, Woods Run Stream Removal Phase 1 project upon the city's property in Riverview Park.
I need a
Motion
motion.
to approve, brief discussion.
Need a second. Mr. Connor.
I'll pass it to Councilwoman Harris, just wants to make a statement about it.
Yeah, I just want to say that anyone that has trails in their district, don't let any human start messing with them because they disrupt how the water is running, and it's very difficult after that.
If we have what in our district?
Trails.
I thought you said tramps.
Trails.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. That exhausts, I believe, the agenda this afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Council will hold a Cablecast Post agenda discussion on the Pittsburgh Parks Conservatory partnership with the city of Pittsburgh. Also this afternoon, council will hold a briefing on Computronics with sessions beginning at 4 o'clock and 4:30. Finally, before we adjourn, this is the 18th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. I just think it is proper not to really make speeches, although we can. I would like to just have a moment of silence for both the victims and the first responders and their families who suffered because of their valor in that day. And so for all those victims and families, I think we hold a moment of silence and remembrance. Thank you very much. Any other conversation? Ms. Harris, I saw you first.
Okay. Did we amend?
I remember amending this.
Did we amend which?
I don't remember amending.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we amended them.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Okay.
Yes, we did them quickly, but we amended them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very
And-
much for the help.
And I'd just like to say happy birthday, Gizmo. That's my daughter. Today's her birthday. And
Which one?
Trisha,
Okay.
Yeah.
One I had in class or the other one?
the one you had
The one
in
in class,
class.
what I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know that I had.
And Nora, her birthday is also today. And so is Evelyn Niser's daughter, so I have a whole list.
One of the funniest things that Mrs. Harris says all the time, whenever, 'cause I know her daughters, whenever she's around her daughters, she looks at me and says, "You see my daughter? That's how I used to look." She says it
A long time ago.
She says that every time I'm with her and her daughter. Ms. Smith.
Well, I don't look like my daughter. Anyway, I just want to acknowledge that there are a lot of folks today. There's a group of 911 folks that we all cook for the first responders across the city of Pittsburgh, and now it's across Allegheny County. And I want to acknowledge them today because they are making dinner for every first responder in the city of Pittsburgh. I have, every year it changes what area I have. Today I had Noblestown Road Firehouse in Westwood. I had the Firehouse 27 in Mount Washington, and I had the Zone 6 station for breakfast. But there are people that are cooking for every firehouse, every medic, and every police station in the city of Pittsburgh, and it's organized by Josie White, who was a sister of a firefighter who, after 9/11, when she toured 9/11, thought there had to be something that we could do positive for the community here at home, and so she organizes it. And I just want to acknowledge her work and the work of all those folks doing the work today. And they would love for council to for us maybe next year if we could all grab a station or something in our area. They would love it.
Any other conversation? No other conversation. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Versus nay. We are adjourned.